I'm ready. Are you? Oh, yes, you are. I can sense it. We are all ready for the hottest podcast blending Second Life and real life. Boys and girls, it's time for the fourth wall with Paul and BK in three, two, one. Talk to me.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Fourth Wall. I'm the scumbag superstar Paul Slater, alongside my podcast partner BK. And BK, I got a frenemy here today as our guest. He's a frenemy of mine. No,
You know what? This one that goes back a very long time. Normally, I'm the one that brings them in. I can't do this one. This one's got to be all you. Yes, you're right. It's a friend of me. It's all yours.
ladies and gentlemen, welcome none other than El Jefe himself, Lex Umaga. Lex, welcome to the Fourth Wall.
Okay,
And
first
I
of
said
all,
Umaga. I said Umaga.
hold on.
I always do.
Why do you always call him Umanga?
Because he thinks he's William Regal. That's why, you know.
I mean, the guy is really great. Umanga was great in his time.
I've been
You always
calling
put that
him
in
Lex
there.
Umaga since day one, and he's always been like, "It's Umanga," and I'm like, "Okay, Umanga."
Anyway, it has taken a while for us to get you on here because schedules have been very hectic, but finally got you to sit down. So
well, thank you
this is
guys.
gonna be one of those things that if there's something you've talked about in the past, I'm gonna be able to claim ignorance because you and I only met when
Handful of times.
in OEW. Well, in OEW is where we really met. So I don't know anything beforehand. So I'm learning a bunch of stuff about you today that I did not know. So anything revealed is going to be news to me. So pardon the reactions. So let's hear the story about Lex Umaga.
You said it too. You said Umanga too.
On purpose.
Yeah, I know.
Let's hear the story about Lex Umaga.
What kind of story do you want to hear?
Well,
Talking about real life wrestling.
We talk about everything. You know how we talk about from the real life, and then how you got into Second Life. You know, we do that with everybody. But think about something you've heard enough of our shows. Tell us something about Lex Umaga that nobody really knows. Something that would be intriguing because we can talk about wrestling all day long and talk about your alts and talk about which we're going to. But what's something about Lex Umaga that nobody would know?
Well, I was involved with the Rocky Horror Picture Show for a really long time in real life.
Did you play transvestite?
I was Frankenfurter.
Really?
Frankenfurter, and I was also the cast manager. Yeah.
Oh my God! Okay.
I did Rocky Horror Picture Show for 5 years. I was involved in the Hollywood, Florida shadow cast of the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and we ran at the movie theater every Saturday night at midnight. Like it literally almost was like a second job, and it was a lot of fun. I met a lot of unique people, made a lot of friends, extended family. You know, it was great. Got involved in Comic Cons and met some of the cast members. I've met Tim Curry in real life. I met him back in 2017 at a Comic Con in Orlando, Florida, and I had a nice 5-minute conversation because he was actually the inspiration for me to want to become an actor in real life. And I was involved in movie productions, behind the scenes, doing background work. I've been on the TV show Bloodlines. I was on season 1, the pilot episode, and then I came back for a flashback with one of the lead characters. So they show me in Miami. I'm based in South Florida, in the southern Broward County area, which is Fort Lauderdale, but I'm very close to Miami. So I was involved. I've done voiceover acting. I've done, little things, little projects here and there. Unfortunately, the work in Miami is not as great as it is in Atlanta, New York, California, New Orleans. I mean, there are little things that go on here, but it's not as good. The government doesn't support it. The state government, excuse me. So
really, in Florida?
Yeah, they put taxes. They tax the crap out of the production companies. So a lot of the production companies left. I was on Ballers. I was on the set of Ballers. I was an extra there, and that season that they were filming in Miami was the last season, and then Dwayne the Rock Johnson ended up moving the production over to New Orleans for Ballers. I think that's where he finished the. So yeah, Florida is. It's kind of it's one of those places where you got to get out, you got to go to Atlanta, move to Atlanta, and it's like, well, so I have SL keeps me entertained. I've done voiceover work also in SL. I have a really good friend of mine. His name is LP Kid. He runs LP Films, and he's been doing like these little movies. He did Resilient Red X, which I played a character in that. I had to throw my voice into it and play an Asian character, which was a lot of fun. And it was a lot of fun. He also did another one just recently, which has a little bit of spiritual tones to it, like godly spiritual tones. It's like in a utopia, and everything is like white, and it's been a lot of fun. I love doing things like that, on the side.
So Lex, there's also another thing I know you want to talk about, because we spoke about this a lot, about your cosplaying. Tell everybody about what you do there.
Well, I've been doing cosplay since 1994. I started in a Klingon fan club organization that was based out of Orlando, Florida. And that's what really got me into Comic Cons. From 94 to about 2005, I was doing Star Trek cons. I was big into the Klingon Empire, Klingon this, Klingon that. Don't know the language. And so what ended up happening is right in the 2000s, all the conventions became like a multiverse. So you had all sorts of different fandoms. So when I started getting involved in different fandoms, I became Lex Luthor at one point. On occasion, I would do the Florida Renaissance Festival, went as a pirate. I did a headsman one time. Obviously Rocky Horror Picture Show. I've dressed up as a numerous amount of WWE wrestlers. One that stands out the most, which you and we've talked about this a lot, Paul, is Goldust. I became a fan of Goldust in the mid-90s, right when I was still in high school. And I didn't really understand what Dustin was doing. And in the beginning, I was not a fan of the Goldust character. So what ended up happening is Halloween came around, and I was like, you know what? I'm really starting to dig this character. So I went out, bought a WWE shirt at the WWE shop, or WWF at the time, put on some yellow face paint with the black, the black around the eyes, a wig, and then I went to a party. And that was the transition of me becoming a Goldust fan, because then a couple years later, eventually I got the costume head to toe, and eventually got the robe, which cost me a lot of money. It's actually sitting in the closet. I was actually thinking about selling it on eBay.
Dude, I mean, I've seen the pictures of it. It's freaking pretty damn good.
Yeah. And so what ended up happening is back in 2002, I went to a couple WWF live shows. And so one of the shows that stands out a lot, which is great. So me and my brother, we always traveled together to go to the WWE shows. And I don't know what was going on that day, but we were running late. So as soon as we got to the arena, this was at the Fort Lauderdale Panther, the Florida Panther Arena over by Sunrise, Florida. We get there late, and I could hear Tajiri's music playing. It was Billy Kidman versus Tajiri, and it was the opening match of this house show, right? So it's pitch black in the arena. The lights are on the guys. They're wrestling in the ring, right? So my brother walks in, and then I walk in. And granted, I'm like head to toe as Goldust right now. So what ends up happening is we're just legitimately looking for our seats, right? As soon as everybody saw me, the fans in the audience are screaming. Like, everybody's getting out of their seats. They're looking at me. They totally just stopped the match. The match literally stopped. Everybody was focused on me because they thought that I was actually Dustin and I was going to go in and do a spot on them. And then I'm like, one of the security guys says to me, "Hey man, are you part of the show?" I should have said yes and just gone backstage. But I say, no. I'm just trying to find my seat. I got offers to join. Excuse me for a minute, just getting a drink. I got offers to join a local indie show. I got pennies and quarters tossed at me. Now I knew what it felt like when Dustin first created that role and he went out there, because he's talked in a lot of interviews when he first emerged as Goldust, people would throw things at him and they yelled obscenities, and I had a better understanding of who this man was, and I was like, wow, and there's a ton of stories I could tell you what's happened to me with Goldust. There's a ton of stories. I've met the man in real life probably about 3 or 4 times. He knows me. He's seen me in the costume. We've taken pictures in the costumes together, and he was really cool. The last time I met him, he was going through a really dark time in his life, and praise God that he's doing a lot better, and he's in AEW, and he's running his own wrestling school, and he's doing fantastic work. And I still follow him on Twitter and social media, and he's doing he's doing really good. But the last time I saw him, it really broke my heart, because this is a guy that I looked up to and I admired, and you could tell the deterioration at the time.
Yeah.
But there's always light at the end of the tunnel, and the fact that he was able to bounce back, that was amazing. And I had him as a friend at one point on Twitter, on one of my old Twitter accounts, but unfortunately that was deleted long ago. But I follow him every once in a while, and if I see it's his birthday, I wish him a happy birthday. Like, hey dude, what's going on? He's a big Star Wars fan, and I'll send him like a Darth Vader meme or something. He loves it.
Oh, that's cool.
So, and I've cosplayed as Paul Bearer. I was Paul Bearer for a while. Yeah, I was Paul Bearer. I was also Mick Foley, Mankind. That was a lot of fun, especially that was mostly around like Halloween time, where I did like the Mick Foley stuff. And then a couple years ago, I fell in love with the Uncle Howdy character, and I loved what Bray's brother was doing, Bo Dallas was doing with the character. I loved the top hat and the white dreadlocks and the overcoat. I really got into it, and I said, you know what? I need to dress up as Uncle Howdy. I was like, I gotta do it. So I ended up a couple years ago dressing up as Uncle Howdy.
Yeah, I remember you sending me the pictures for that.
Yeah, I think if you scroll up in the chat here, you could, if you look deep enough, you might be able to find them.
Well, after the show, send them to me, and then during the video, I'll put them in the video.
Sure, I'll go on my Facebook and look for them. But yeah, I had a lot of fun. So I've been wanting to tell this story for a while. And is Baby Chrissy here? Is she here in the audience?
Should be.
Okay, yeah.
Well, not well, yeah.
Okay, so this is a story for Baby Chrissy and for everybody here, of course. So a while back, Baby Chrissy mentioned Luna Vachon. And so I have a Luna Vachon story, and I'm dedicating this to Baby Chrissy. So I was 19 years old. I was the biggest mark of WWF, and I was one of those smart marks that knew the terminologies of the business. And so I met a woman that worked at the same shopping mall where I was at, and her husband was an indie wrestler from the local scene where I live. And so at the time, like everybody, I'm sure everybody here has had the dream of wanting to become a pro wrestler. So I was that was my dream. I wanted to become a pro wrestler. And I had even, ordered a book off of Pro Wrestling Illustrated that was written by Percy Pringle III,
Paul Bear.
aka Paul Bear, rest in peace, that had all the
Right.
information on professional wrestling and all the schools. So anyway, let's go back to the story. So this lady was telling me that she was friends with Dave Heath, who everybody knows that is formerly the Vampire Warrior, and he's now Gangrel, formerly of WWE. So and friends with Luna, because the guy that trained her husband was also trained Gangrel. So I had talked to her a lot, and they were, getting to know me and things like that. So, we're talking about the business and stuff like that. And she was like, I really want you to meet Luna Vachon. So I was excited. I was like, cool. This is really cool. And I didn't know who at the time. He was the Vampire Warrior. So this was way before he became Gangrel, and he was
He's
with
on the
Christian
indies.
and Edge. Yeah, he was mostly in the indies as the Vampire Warrior. So the meeting is set, and this lady works at a candy shop right in the center court of the mall that's literally across the street from my home. So we picked the time of when they were going to come. So I was at work, but I told my manager, hey, do you mind if I go to the candy shop? The lady over there, I got something going on over there, whatever. Yeah, go. So mind you, I'm 19 years old. Okay, I'm 49 now, so I'm 19. I'm 19 at the time. So I walk into the candy shop, right, and I'm talking with her. A little while later, here comes no shit Luna Vachon, and she's got the blonde dreads. She's got the tattoos on the side, and then I meet her husband. Her husband was really cool. He was really cool. We talked for a little bit, and so because I was a quote unquote smart mark to the business, I asked her husband at the time, hey, since you play a vampire and all that, do they make you Blade? So when she heard, now talk about personality shift. She was a sweet as sugar in the beginning. As soon as I mentioned to Dave about the blading, she went either full promo or full bipolar, God rest her soul, RIP. And she just went completely ape shit on me. She was literally ready to kick my ass in that candy shop.
She's protecting the business, man.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, she was right. And it's funny that you mentioned that. Years later on, when I was at a wrestling academy, I actually went to the same school where Gangrel was trained. I only did a week there because I couldn't handle it. I talked to the trainer. His name was Rusty Brooks. He's no longer with us. He was a old school jobber in the 80s for WWF. I think his biggest claim to fame, he may have had a match with Hulk Hogan in the early days. And what ended up happening is I asked him, I said, hey, Rusty, so I told him about the Luna Vachon story. And he said the same thing that you said. She just wants to protect the business.
Yeah.
And she's very old school, and so when you probably said that, she freaked out. And so that was, so I literally almost got my ass kicked by this lady.
30 years ago. I mean, it's a lot different than,
Yeah.
wrestling was a lot different back then. You didn't have social media exposing everything. You didn't have the Unreal shows that are showing you how they come up with everything. Like back then,
Right.
it was, they still lived by that code of,
Yes.
protecting
And
the business.
some of the old school wrestlers still live it today.
Yeah.
The younger guys don't, but some of the older ones that were trained by, they were trained by some of the older guys. They still do it. So it's there's still kayfabe out there, but it's wrestling has become very modernized. But
Absolutely. Yes.
so I was friends with the woman that introduced me to her. So we corresponded in an email, and I actually had talked to her husband. I said, dude, this stuff is on the internet. Now, this is like 1996, 97. So this is during AOL. I don't know
Yeah.
if any of you remember AOL dial-up or
Yeah, man, that shit was
so,
great.
so I contacted her and I said, listen, this is the stuff I told you about. So I guess they told her, and they must have said to her, look, this guy is sending us an email with this information. So me and her were going back and forth in an email. I can't remember what she said to me, but she was like, if you keep it up, you and I are gonna be going in the ring and blah 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 and this and that. And I said, well, I'm sorry, Luna, I didn't mean to, but the information is there. So she writes me back, quit pissing me off, and it's Miss Luna Vachon to you. I could almost hear her voice when she said that. It was hysterical. Like
Wow.
it was kind of funny going back 40 years or whatever that was, 30 years, excuse me. It was hilarious. It was like, damn,
Wow.
I could have had an indie show with her and got my ass kicked. So
but it would have been a great memory.
Oh,
it would have
100%
been a great memory.
Yeah.
Just telling this story alone is a great memory, because it's like, wow, this is something that happened, just like the stuff
It's a
with
cool
Gold
story.
Dust.
Yeah, it's a cool story.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, it's a really good story. I mean, I've met other wrestlers at conventions, at some of the Comic Cons. I've met, at signings. I met Dwayne The Rock Johnson, I think it was in 1997, and he was just finishing up with the Nation of Domination. And I was the first person in line, and I met him, and he was wearing like the Rock style shirt that he wears. He was wearing like these cargo shorts, and talked to him for a few minutes, and he was cool. I met a couple of the NWO guys
Yeah.
through that. I met the Big Show when he was the Giant. I met Lex Luthor. Not Lex Luthor. Lex Luger. I met him. I met Buff Bagwell. Got signatures and pictures with these guys. These guys were like really cool. True story. Paul, get ready to say it. Nerd alert. It's coming. So I was in St. Petersburg, Florida. It was a Sunday. Me and a buddy of mine, we were driving back from a Star Trek convention. We had to get back to Fort Lauderdale. And so he parked his truck right in front of the hotel parking. And all of a sudden, this black, I want to say it was either a BMW or a Mercedes. I don't know what it is, right? So I'm standing there and we're just waiting, whatever. Mind you, this is Sunday, so we still have a Star Trek convention going on, and there's still stuff happening, and people dressed up as Trekkies and all this and that. It was crazy, right? All of a sudden, I see Brutus Beefcake, who was also known as Ed Leslie, his real name, steps out of this car, and he looks like the disciple, the biker character that he had when he was with the NWO back in WCW. And then all of a sudden, I see Hulk Hogan come out, and I was like, "Oh my god!" I was like, oh, "Hulk Hogan!" I was like, "Holy moly!" So he starts walking up, and he passes right by us, and I'm like, NWO for life, brother. He's like, yeah, brother. And then all the other Trekkies would see him, and the guy was huge. He was dressed like in character. He was wearing the Hollywood Hogan getup, except for the wrestling boots. And he just walks in, and he just totally it was like almost like he was part of the attraction of the weekend. It was so cool. It was like, wow, that was one of those, again, it was one of those experiences that, it's like, wow, Hulk Hogan, here's somebody that I watched as a little boy in the 1980s, and I'm like, wow, here he is. And
Yeah, it's weird.
like,
They
wow.
have like a glow to them. Like, it's weird when you see like somebody famous like that.
Yeah.
Sorry. So
Yeah.
you did all the real life stuff. So tell us how you got into SL Wrestling, how you first came in and joined SL Wrestling.
Well, so what ended up happening was, it was in 2010. I was involved in a role play group, nerd alert again, Paul, DC Comics based role play over at a sim called Aftermath. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of it. They sold a lot of the superhero stuff for the avatars and things like that. It was called Aftermath Mall, and they hosted different DC Comics based role plays. So in that role play, I ended up meeting a guy by the name of David Hawk Actor, which I know a lot of you guys know in this chat, Jedrick Leotis, and Derek Zane. And we all used to role play together in this DC Comics based role play for a while. And then we all became friends. We would talk on Skype. This was during the Skype days, way before Discord was even, a thing. And, we would talk about role plays, comic books, what character we're going to play, what are we going to do? So maybe several months in, somebody started exploring SL Wrestling. And I want to say it was probably Derek Zane, because I remember him when he was here on the podcast, he was talking about it. And I think they were involved. And then David got thrown into the mix. Again, it's my memory is foggy, so I don't know who got in first, but I know that one of them got in. They were involved with Savannah Mohegan. I don't know if any of the old timers in SL Wrestling remember her. She ran a promotion, and they were working for her. And at the time, the guys were like, Lex, you should really come and join. This is a lot of fun. Unfortunately, because of my schedule in real life with work, I could never go to any of the shows that they were doing. So it wasn't until the creation of OEW, and the original schematic of OEW was an idea that Derek and I had come up with originally about just doing like an indie style promotion where it was like a training facility. So if, like, let's say, Charlie Duffield, I'm going to poke at him since he's sitting here. Let's say he's a newcomer to SL Wrestling and he wants to learn how to wrestle. Okay, come over here. You work with us. We'll teach you how to, do whatever you need to do. And then if you want to go to DCWF or VWE or ABC 123 Fed, then you just go to whatever Fed you want to go to. That was the original plan. David was like, "No, I think we should make a Fed." Jedrick was like, "I think you should make a Fed." And so what ended up happening is the four of us, I like to call us the four horsemen, because we're the original founders of the OEW. David came up with a name, and I basically got in contact with a woman by the name of Zarina Corre, and I said, because she was also trying to run a DC Comics role play. We met her, and she wanted us to host a DC role play, but the traffic at the Sim wasn't doing very good at the time. So I went to her and I pitched the idea. Listen, I know you want some traffic here, and my buddies and I, we're thinking about doing SL Wrestling. What do you think about doing SL Wrestling here? And I sold her on it. She liked the idea to bring the traffic. She was on board with us. This is how we also met LG. We met LG through Zarina. And so it was very good. It was very good. I'm trying to remember because my brain is foggy. It was such a long time. It's 16 years, so it's a long time.
Well, yeah.
So we did it. We grew. There were obviously, in every organization that you're with, whether it's SL Wrestling, a role play, motorcycle club, dance club, whatever, you're going to have politics and differences of opinion. So somebody came up with the idea, maybe we should do two shows, because at the time we had 40 members on the roster, and we were like, it was hard putting people into positions to wrestle. And I'll be honest with you, my younger self back then, I had a problem with that. I'm like, why do we need to do two shows? Why are we trying to do two shows? Why do we need to compete? Why don't we just keep the simple show, which was Adrenaline? It was OEW Adrenaline, and let's just do it on Monday nights. Let's just do it. or Rush. It was either Rush or Adrenaline. I don't know. Maybe Vince or Tiesa might remember which one was the show that was there first. But so we did it. And unfortunately, OEW from the very beginning, unfortunately, had a lot of heat against them because a lot of people felt threatened by OEW in the very beginning because they felt, how are these, excuse me, how are these bunch of dregs going to be able to start a Fed and have like 30 plus people in the Fed? You know, how is that possible? So we were accused of copybotting a wrestling ring, which never happened. We were accused of many different things. Meanwhile, while we were trying to just to have fun and do our stuff and deliver our product, we had individuals either from within the OEW or outside the OEW trying to poach our members to other organizations. I will not make any mention of which is the company that was involved. I don't want to stir that pot, but I'm telling you guys, this is what happened. I lived it. I was a part of it. I was involved in various different arguments with fellows of management. This happened. We had individuals that were poaching and trying to sabotage our show for no reason. I will say, Numbers Rossini from DCWF, he was the president of DCWF at the time. He came over, saw what we were doing, and wanted to partner up with us. I don't remember all the details of that. We did a cross-promotional thing with DCWF where we appeared at DCWF. Charlie, I don't know if you remember any of that. But we were, we had a intra-promotional, I think it was the intra-promotional television title, I think we had. And so we worked a little bit. And then what ended up happening is I think we lost the sim that we were on, and we ended up jumping to different locations and trying to maintain the OEW as long as we could. I eventually left. I'm man enough to admit to my mistakes that I've done, and I've done a lot of mistakes, and I'm not perfect, and I'm willing to admit that I am a graduate of Petty College. And I've done some things that are not good, or I've had my issues where I left and would come back and leave and come back. Because when I get very passionate about something that I love or I enjoy, it's a reaction that I have. And, and then when I left OEW was still going when I left it the second time. And then I ended up joining, originally it was called UWS, but the gentleman that was running it left, and then left it to Maxine Andrazi. I'm sure a lot of you guys know who she is. And I was at United Honor Wrestling for a little while. I was there for a little bit. I went there as my character, Evan Briggs. So just to let you guys know, some of the SL Wrestling historians, Lex Umaga was never a character in the OEW until OEW came back the second time in 2021. That's when Lex Umaga was born. Lex Umaga was not a character in the original OEW. Evan Briggs was my character. He was the on-air general manager, owner. He was both. He was like the Eric Bischoff. As a matter of fact, he looked a lot like Eric Bischoff, and that was done deliberately because when I first joined SL Wrestling, I looked at it as a role play, and I didn't really think anything of it. And I was like, well, it'll be pretty cool to, to play this character like Eric. And because I grew up watching Eric just as much as I liked Vince, but I liked Eric Bischoff a lot more. And so I took Evan Briggs to United Honor. And then I went over to, I believe it was Intense Wrestling, which was Ryan Fury's promotion. I was there for a while. I reprised the role of Unganji, my Samoan character. He was there. Evan Briggs was there. I debuted a new character that was called Exotica, which was a androgynous character. It was pretty much a homage to Gold Dust
Adrian
and
Street.
Adrian Street. Yep. And I played that character there. And so what ended up happening was the booking, how the way that they handled Exotica, because Unganji was pretty much just a plot device for whatever Evan was doing. I wanted Exotica to be a character that would be, colorful, bring back the classic, heel, colorful character, the androgynous, like Gold Dust, like this was like in 2012. So a 2012 version of Gold Dust in SL Wrestling is what I was trying to do. Unfortunately, the booking, I didn't really like the booking. The creative, they pretty much used me to put somebody else over that they were going to bring. No disrespect to DCWF, love DCWF, but they wanted to bring somebody over to intense wrestling, and it was at my expense, and that really made me feel a certain type of way. So after that, I probably remained maybe about a month or so, and then eventually real life kicked in. I was living at a roommate's house. The Wi-Fi was messed up. I couldn't make it to shows anymore. So I just basically called the quits. And I left SL Wrestling for a very long time. I left in 2013, and I didn't come back until 2020.
Wow.
And in between that, I had been reached at one point on one of my older Facebook accounts that I used to have by Numbers Rossini. And he reached to me in an IM. He's the former president of DCWF. And he asked me if I would be willing to bring Evan Briggs. Excuse me. If I'd be willing to bring back Evan Briggs to wrestling. And I told him, I said, Numbers, I'm sorry, but I'm really not interested in SL Wrestling anymore.
So what?
I'm
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yes. No, go ahead.
No, so what made you? All right. So 7 years is a long time, right? Like,
right.
What made you come back after 7 years? And because usually, if you quit something for 7 years, like more cases than not, you don't go back to it. Like, what made you come back?
Well, I'm not the only one that's quit SL Wrestling for 7 years and made a comeback. And I think a lot of people know who I'm talking about if you really, dig deep.
Well, I mean, they're not here. You are. I want your opinion.
Yeah. So basically what ended up happening to me was myself and Heather, we were on a sim that she owned called Diamond Sands Community. And we had come up with the idea of opening up a wrestling academy, just a wrestling academy. We were not going to get involved in SL Wrestling, in the stage like what it is right now. We were just going to open up a wrestling school, and I was going to try and talk to some of the promoters to get support on this. It's pretty much the same vision that me and Derek Zane had at the precursor of OEW. So we were going to open up an academy on her community sim. And so what ended up happening is a gentleman by the name of Vince Aftermath, who a lot of people know very well in the SL Wrestling community. I reached out to him, and he came over, and we ended up having a talk. Now, I'm sure he'll agree to this. Me and Vince did not talk for a very long time, and a lot of it was due to the fallout from when I left the OEW. He had his feelings and his opinions, and I had my feelings and my opinions. Well, eventually, he came over, we talked, and we sat in a comic book shop that I had built on the sim, and Heather was like, you two just need to sit down and just settle your bullshit right now. So you know how Heather is, Paul. And so that's pretty much what ended up happening. So me and Vince, we talked. We buried the hatchet, which was important, and then we talked about Premier Wrestling. So he was telling me about Premier, and that he has a new organization, and we were just talking. So I said, well, let me check it out. Now, this was during the time of the pandemic, so COVID was in the air,
That's when I came in.
and yeah, that's when you came in. This was around the same time, 2020. So, so I sat down with Vince and David Hawk, because David was actually working for the promotion at the time, and we were coming up with an idea for me to do in the in the Fed. So we sat down, and David came up with the character El Jefe. So just to let you guys know, El Jefe was actually created 6 years ago at Premier Wrestling. So there is story continuity with El Jefe now during the current run of Premier Wrestling, because the character originated from Premier Wrestling. So David was like, you know what? You can be like Wilson Fisk, the Kingpin from the Daredevil show, where in the first season, if anybody mentioned his name, you were going to be taken out.
Yeah.
So he wanted El Jefe to be treated like that. So he was going to be a mysterious figure like Dr. Claw from Inspector Gadget, and all you would do is see him at these angles and all you would see is his hand. You would see his hand, moving, and he would talk to various wrestlers or whoever, so that's what El Jefe was. And El Jefe's role was to sabotage Premier Wrestling because this person had a vendetta against Vince Aftermath in the story, which it was supposed to be originally my original character, Evan Briggs, because the Samoan, which was known as Unganji, became the Samoan Thug. So he ended up looking like Jacob Fatu 6 years ago, or like the Usos. So I modernized him, and he looked more hip hop, like what a lot of the Samoan guys look today. So he was the bodyguard for El Jefe. So every segment that we had, you had either Unganji and you had El Jefe like behind the chair. So what ended up happening is El Jefe was doing some schemes and trying to rig some of the matches. So one of the matches that I was involved with, which Vince was also involved with, was Ace versus Omega. I don't know if a lot of people remember Omega from Premier Wrestling, but Omega at the time was the world heavyweight champion. So El Jefe's job was to support Ace, because Vince was supporting Omega. He was like the Brock Lesnar type character at the time, and El Jefe wasn't going to have any of it. He was going to sabotage it and make sure that his guy won. And that's what ended up happening. So Unganji was sent in, attacked Omega, and then helped Ace get his first title victory at Premier Wrestling. That was, I want to say that was around season 4. If you go back through the archives of Premier, it was probably around season 4. And then I appear in little episodes, like, sprinkled throughout this, throughout the seasons. I think I only was at Premiere from season 4 to maybe season 6. I think that's where I was at. And then the other thing that El Jefe was doing was like an underground lucha libre, where he would force people to wrestle against their will.
I remember them.
So,
I remember them videos.
I don't know if so what ended up happening is we would do some segments where we would film like a wrestling match that was going on, and one of El Jefe's captives was David Hawk actor's alt, Johnny Angel. Yeah, Johnny Angel was caught, and he was going to be forced into wrestling because he wasn't really doing much on the main roster. So we put him in this story. So it's like, well, where's Johnny Angel at? Well, Johnny Angel was abducted by El Jefe. So we used a lot of those those elements of, like, the whole Mexican cartel, but
Kidnappings.
yeah, the kidnappings and everything, but forcing them to wrestle. Exactly.
So after you leave Premiere that time, then you go back and then you go full blown OEW. You're just at OEW and
Yeah.
go from there.
We ran, Heather and I, we brought back the OEW. She had another sim, another Diamond Sands community. And so after, me leaving Premiere, I said to her, do you want to bring back the OEW? And she was like, yes. So we put, our monies together. She, obviously she was, paying for the sim. I would help her out, as best as I could. I bought a lot of things. The gentleman that I mentioned earlier, LP Kid, that does the video, he's also very good at building and doing different things. Got him to construct the arena, do a lot of our intro videos, any special free preview videos that we used to do, or super cards. He would do a lot of I would hire him to do a lot of these videos for us. And, we had a great run. I think it was like 3.5 years. Unfortunately, what's that, Paul?
It was fun.
Yeah, it was a great run. I mean, it went for 3.5 years. And Lex Umaga, the wrestling personality, was born in OEW. He started a little bit at Premiere as a commentator at Unplugged, but he became like a Jim Cornette style wrestling manager. And if you guys look at KC King's YouTube and go back into the OEW archives, you could see me as I look a lot different than what I look right now. I had like bleached blonde hair, and wearing ugly suits. I know a lot of people here
Root beer
remember
floats.
well, that was before the root beer float. So I'll get to the root beer float in just a second.
That was a fun conversation. The root beer floats.
Yeah, that was a fun conversation too. So he would so everybody knows that Jim Cornette carries the tennis racket, right? So I wanted to do something similar to Jim because I like Jim. I like the loudmouthness. I like the way that he would conduct himself. And so what I did is I used a barbed wire baseball bat, but everybody would see me and like, this guy's not a wrestler. What is he doing with a barbed wire? But it was my plot. So, and then Jedrick had his character Mon King Daishin, which was like this Mongolian warrior. So in my mind, I'm picturing, all right, well, here you got an 80s manager and then you got an 80s, gimmick wrestler. And it was really cool. A lot of people remember a lot of the video vignettes that I did as Lex, especially the one where I was running through the fire pit and screaming like a monkey. A lot of people remember that. I'm sure you guys could go back and watch that in the archives of OEW. That was a lot
of the
fun.
stuff we did was old school stuff. We did a lot of old school stuff.
We did a lot of old school stuff. Even before, when you left for a little while, we were still doing a little bit of old school stuff because
Paul, I think we kind of get blamed for bypassing the old school stuff. I think we have to take blame for that one.
The best conversation is a root beer float one because me and Lex talking about the root beer float, and I'll let you tell Lex, but it was funny.
So how the root beer float came about. So we were in a management meeting, and we were in a management meeting, and we were having a debate about we need more good guys. We need more good guys, and we didn't have good guys, right? So mind you, I'm still a heel at this point. I'm still Lex Umaga, the bad guy. And I was all over the place, either as commentary, managing somebody. Sometimes I'd do a guest wrestling match against somebody that was feuding with, whatever. So we're in a management call, and we're like, we need good guys. So I said, you know what? F it. I'm going to be a good guy. So I went over to Deadwool, and I bought a suit from Deadwool, and I decided, you know what? I'm going to channel Joel Osteen.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people here know.
No, please,
Yes.
No, that's
no.
Yes.
true. Yeah.
That,
He's like, I want to
so
be like a preacher that he's full of shit.
Oh my
so
God. That's all of them, isn't
I
it?
don't mean to offend anybody. I'm not here to offend anybody. But I don't know if there's any Joel Osteen listeners here. So just a disclaimer: I'm not here to offend anybody.
We know.
But I used inspiration from Joel Osteen the same way that Bruce Pritchard used a real life pastor to create Brother Love.
Yeah, didn't he use Jimmy Swaggart?
No.
Jim Baker. Jim Baker.
It was Jim Baker. It was Jim
Jim
Baker.
Baker. Okay, I knew it was
He
one of
used
them.
Jim Baker. So I used
Okay.
Joel Osteen with
Okay.
like the motivational. So every time I would come out, and do a promo, I would start reciting like this motivational instruction, or whatever decided to come out of my mouth that day. But one of the things that I did, he would carry a root beer float.
Well, no. Let's hold on. You're missing something. So remember, you're like, I need to carry something, like maybe a tea or a coffee or something. And I'm like, no, it's something. And you said root beer float, and I'm like, yeah, that's it. You're like, why would I be carrying a root beer float? I'm like, because it's fucking stupid. That's why.
Right. So that's true. It's kind of funny. So let me tell you where the root beer float idea. I remember where the root beer float. So there was one year that I was at church. Right. It was a Father's Day weekend, and it was
Did the church collapse? Did the church fall down?
It was a football thing, and they were doing this theme called "Drink Us a Beer." And they were giving out root beer bottles, people to drink root beer because obviously, you don't drink in church or whatever. So they were doing, root beer. So when me and Paul were having these discussions, and I remembered, wait a minute, the whole root beer thing. So I went on Marketplace, I bought the root beer, and I used to carry this root beer float to the ring. When I was managing, I was managing Bannock at the time because, Bannock was in a position where he had a lot of defeats and he needed to be lifted up. So he had just become a baby face.
I think that's where I come in when Paul and I started our stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, it's right around
because I just come in on that and I didn't ask any questions because I wanted to see if I could figure it out. And you basically were, instead of being a manager, you try to gear yourself towards a quote unquote motivational speaker, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm right. Okay. Okay.
And then when Paul and I, we were very close as heels. So our characters are they were really best friends as heels. So when he sees me doing this motivational speaking, he's like calling me out. He's like, "You're a fraud, blah 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 blah. You're full of shit. This is not And it was I'm like, Paul, but what are you talking about, Paul? You need to feel the inspiration of the light upon you. I would like say like all these weird stuff, and he's just I know he's laughing. I know he's laughing.
Oh my God.
It was great. The root beer float version of Lex Umaga was really
well. The
really
funny
fantastic.
thing is this was just recently, like not long ago, and we were doing a segment for Premiere, and I'm like, it's gonna be funny. I'm gonna come in here because like he calls me to the office, and I come in with a root beer float, and he's like, "What do you think? You're funny?" I'm like, "Why? Why would I be funny? I'm just thirsty." I was like,
that was great.
Yeah, kind of like when we did the thing with walking into in OEW, walking in the song that was playing with somebody watching me when we were doing the whole stuff.
Oh yeah, I came up with that music for you guys too.
That was Lex's idea.
Yeah.
Excuse me, you are absolutely right. All right. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, blah, 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 blah. Make sure to subscribe. We will be right back after a break from our sponsors, and we are going to get into the questions and answers. You're going to love some of these, so get ready for this. We'll be right back.
Oh, Lord.
All right, and we are back, and we have the one and only Lex and yes, I'm saying this on purpose because of you, Paul. We have the one and only Lex Umaga with us, and Paul is like fangirling over here because I think he like a secret bro crush or something like that.
Well, I mean, me and Lex, me and Lex have been close since he was one of the first people who actually, when I first came in, I was doing commentary. I didn't really know nobody. He was very nice to me when I first met him, unlike some other people. And BK.
Yeah.
And he kind of like, he was like, I guess like a mentor in a way, like to show me the ropes in SL wrestling, how it worked, how the people are, like, and we've been tight, ever since. And, that's just where we've been.
Oh, you mean in other words, he actually said hi to you instead of
instead of calling you out.
Instead of calling you out.
Fucking headset don't work. Like commentary people that can actually talk.
But
Right.
for a guy that just came in, finding it and on YouTube, I mean, you blew up really quick, and you took to it, you grabbed it, by the horns, and you did a great job, man.
Yeah.
All right. So, are you ready for this, Lex? I mean, now normally and we're not going to mention his name because he's like, Beetlejuice. He mentions his name too many times and he appears. But apparently, he is channeling. He is channeling himself through Miss Mina because she has got a laundry list of questions for you.
Okay.
Now, you know how the show works. We're expecting honest answers. Okay. So, number one. Mount Rushmores of federations you've worked for.
Wow, you stumped him.
I mean, Mount Rushmore of feds that I've worked for?
Yeah.
What's the four best feds?
Number one would be OEW. Okay. Hands down would be OEW because I helped create it. So OEW.
Okay.
Premier Wrestling.
Uh-huh.
The feds that I've worked in. Well, I've only worked in 4. So
there you go. Easy then.
There you go.
United Honor Wrestling and Intense Wrestling. So that's it. Right. Those are the 4.
All right, that's fair enough. Okay, now this is going to be one even better because you're going to have to include current company.
Okay.
Your Mount Rushmore of commentary duos.
Oh wow, that's hard because you got 3 guys on this desk that are very good commentators. So I really, oh God. Wow, you guys are killing me with these questions, guys. Come on. Why doesn't somebody just ask me how I became El Jefe? No.
No. That comes later. Oh no.
Okay.
We're still, that was actually going to be one of my questions.
So I'm going to I'm going to exclude the 3 of us here from the Mount Rushmore because it's not fair. So Dante. No, I can't say his last name.
Yeah,
Dante from UFW.
We know who Dante is.
UFW. So he would be 1. And I got to tell you, tonight, while I was working at Premiere, I actually got a chance to listen to DJ Quick. That guy is really good. Yeah, good. And he reminds me of his voice reminds me of Tom Morella. I don't know if anybody here knows Tom Morella.
Yep.
Yeah, he's got something like Tom Morella. I actually used that in my promo on him tonight. So you guys could, I called him, I think, like a wannabe sounding Tom Morella. He was great. The problem is
you only got 2 more. You only got 2 more.
I don't go to a lot of the feds, so I don't. So I'm not up with everything. Oh God.
And the fact that you got to exclude the 3 of us.
Yeah, it's not fair to use the 3 of us. It's not. Xander Garcia is a good commentator. Yeah. Definitely Xander. I have to put Xander in there. And then for my last one, I think I'm going to have to go with Fire Ember because she's just hilarious as a drunk behind that mic.
I have to
she makes it fun. She makes it fun.
Okay, I get it. Okay. Now, here's another question about commentary, and this one's really going to put you on the spot. This is going to be I'm sorry, you're going to have to, if you have to, you're going to have to include me and Paul in this one because you can't get out of this one.
Okay.
Your Mount Rushmore of commentary, who has called your matches?
Paul Slater. Trixie.
Okay.
Dante. Yeah, the matches that I've had as my alts. Paul Slater, Trixie, Dante, BK. I can't remember if you called any of my matches.
I called him as Tank. I called some Tank matches.
Okay, I guess
It's all right though. It's okay. I don't mind.
I guess
I don't
BK.
mind.
I'll throw. I
No,
can't.
I don't mind not being on somebody. I mean, I know there are people out there who are a lot better than I am. I
Well,
get
he's
that.
not
I
wrestling. I
understand.
mean, he don't wrestle all the time either. So
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
wrestle anymore,
yeah.
so I don't. It's hard to follow the product. I just come in, do premiere, and then I Peter Chris my way out. So it's hard to keep track of all the. Oh man. I mean, David Hawk is a very good commentator.
Yeah,
He's
he
done
is.
some really good commentary as well.
Okay. All right. Now, these next questions are going in, but they're going to drop in and out between RL and SO because I'm kind of reading these ahead a little bit. Okay.
Sure, go ahead.
We're going back into RL right now.
All right, RL.
Who is the most famous person you've ever met on a set? Not like at a Comic-Con, actually on a set, whatever it was. Who's the most famous person you've ever met?
That would be Ben Mendelsohn. I don't know if you guys remember who Ben Mendelsohn is. He was the guy that was on the TV show Bloodline. He also played a character in one of the Batman Christopher Nolan movies. He came up to us while we were waiting, and he was like, "Hey guys, I got coffee and donuts. If you guys want some." He's probably one of the famous ones that I met.
Okay.
Ben Mendelsohn, yeah.
Okay.
And that was over in the Florida Keys when that happened.
Okay. Now your next RL question.
Sure.
Now the thing about it is though is that you can't say Klingon because it doesn't say like species or anything like that. Who is your favorite Star Trek character from what series?
Next Generation Worf.
who the fuck is that?
What? Next,
The Trekkies in this call know who Worf is.
I know who Worf is.
Yeah. He was my favorite.
I'm a Star Wars guy.
Okay, so am I. But I have to ask this. This is going to be one of the questions.
I'm a Star Wars guy too.
Since we brought in the whole thing about Star Trek, and you're talking about being a nerd, I'm sorry. Did you ever watch or did you like The Big Bang Theory?
Dude, I've been watching reruns on HBO Max just now.
Good.
I do.
Okay.
And I'm looking forward to the new show that's coming out July 21st. Yes,
oh,
that's a plug for it. Stuart saves the world.
Stuart doesn't save the world.
Or he doesn't save the world. That's it. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Something like that, yeah.
And Sheldon is my favorite character. Bazinga.
Well, I'm still thinking of the one where they were trying to go to the Star Trek convention or Comic-Con and their car broke down or they stopped for the pictures and their car got stolen.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the only reason why that's why I asked the question. Okay. Now, here's one. Actually, Mina, I commend you on this one. Who is your Mount Rushmore of wrestlers that you've met in real life?
Roman Reigns, Gold Dust, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Ric Flair.
Well, you put Roman Reigns over Ric Flair?
Yeah, dude, put up that.
Well, I mean, I wasn't thinking about the order.
I get it. What?
I'm talking about Ric Flair now. I fucking can't stand Ric Flair right now.
Oh yeah, Ric Flair back in the day with the Four Horsemen and the style and.
I mean, I've met Dusty. I've met Dusty Rhodes too. I met Dusty. I've met Cody. I met Cody when he was a teenager before he broke into the WWE.
Ric Flair's like one of them like old Vegas acts that like his shit ended 30 years ago, but he's still trying to stay relevant. And still doing little things. Yeah, it's just like you see some of the stuff, and it's just like, oh my! I'm so tired of this fucking guy, man.
I get it. Yeah, I get it. Okay, so on to our next question. This is going to be very difficult because you've only been in a few feds. Yeah, you know what? I mean, I'm going to ask the question, but this isn't fair because I'm going to just say this that a lot of feds use alts
Okay.
instead of. But I'm going to ask it anyway because this is the question and answer. Who is your Mount Rushmore of referees in SL wrestling?
Oh my god.
Oh my god. You guys are killing me with I think you guys are doing this deliberately.
No, I'm reading them off.
Okay. So Mount Rushmore, my boy Bill Lawrence is definitely going to be number one. He was our OEW referee.
Yeah, I remember
Bill, I
Bill.
miss Bill.
I'm not gonna laugh. Bill, no.
He was the
But
alcoholic referee.
Earl. I thought that was Earl.
Earl's
No,
PW.
Earl's for Premier.
Okay,
Earl would be my second.
Okay,
Earl
so
would be
Earl,
my second.
so the one in OEW, I remember him being the most bipolar fucking ref there was because it's like every single week. Yeah, he come in drinking, don't get me wrong. One week he's hitting on the women, next week he's hitting on the men, next week he's hitting on the species, next week he's hitting on a microphone stand. He was the most bipolar ref we've ever had.
Because all of us ran them at one point or another, and we all added our own creativity to it.
We did.
Yes. That was the beauty of it. That was the beauty of it was,
we did.
You know,
because I know when I was on there, he was always flirting with the women, which everybody knows that about me. No big deal. Everybody knows it. Playing, and I never did anything about drinking, but it was always like, don't you have anything else? It's like, well, give me something better to do. So Bill was great. I like that.
Yeah, and then so Earl would have to be the next one, and then the third one I don't remember her name. It's a lady's, so I know Charlie and Leah will remember the one that would bring the brooms into the ring over at BCW.
Faith.
What's her name?
Faith.
Yes.
Faith.
Yes. Faith.
Okay.
Yeah, she was yeah, she was the she's got to be
Faith Doombringer. Oh, I forgot that name.
And then the fourth one, man, I don't know. I don't know any of the other refs. You know what? I'll just throw in Enzo.
Oh, I remember Enzo.
Yeah.
AVW.
I had AVW. He was in AVW. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I remember that. Oh my God. I remember that name. Okay, so now we're through that. Now on to you're really gonna like this one. If you had the chance today, would you bring back OEW?
Absolutely. 110%. No questions asked. Okay. And I would use the same original people that were involved. The three of you here on this panel, Heather, David, and get my family back. Absolutely.
Well, I appreciate being brought in that, but think about it. I was brought in as a talent. I was brought in behind the scenes, so that's
but
I just go in and do my performance part.
I'll throw you into the mix.
All right, I appreciate that. I really, really do. All right, now this is the one that's going to get you. This is another one that's going to get you. Your Mount Rushmore of people that you have not faced yet. I think I goofed when I used the term Mount Rushmore because every one of these questions about Mount Rushmore.
Mount Rushmore, I mean,
yeah, the people that you have not faced. Yeah.
So if I was to wrestle as Unganji or Tank, who would I want to face? Well,
no. I want to know as Lex. Who would you?
Lex is not a wrestler, but if he had to.
Okay, but think about it now. There have been times. Okay, perfect example. Diamond Dallas Page.
True.
It can happen. Yeah. So if it were to happen, who would Lex want to face?
I would probably say Derek Zane. I would definitely go up against Derek Zane. Xander Garcia, Charlie, and Baza.
Damn, Baza.
That's a good pick. That's a good pick.
That really, it really is. The name comes out quite a bit. It really, really does. But
yeah, those would be the four that I would probably go after.
Okay.
I'm coming after you, Charlie.
But actually, that's actually very good. Can't really argue with that list. No, you really can't.
Yeah.
All right. You ready for the next one? And these are still coming from Mina. We're still on Mina right now.
Mina. Oh God.
Yeah.
I hate to see what the others are.
Right. Well, I got a few. We got a few more. Okay. So now, granted, this is one of those questions that with the Lex thing, it would fall into it because of what you said with Bannock. But you've had the opportunity to watch and be around and see some things. So this is not necessarily you personally, just you as an observation. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Now, this is the actual question. Who are some of your favorite SL Wrestling managers?
The gentleman to my left is
Oh,
one of my favorite
God.
managers.
Oh, my
Paul.
God. We're going to get the ego killers in here.
Yeah, it's going to be the new ego killer, sir. Definitely Paul was a great manager. I like a lot of the work that Vince Aftermath has done as a manager since he no longer can wrestle as much as he used to. I like some of the stuff that he's done. I haven't honestly, guys. I haven't seen a lot of SL wrestling managers. I know that they're out there, but I haven't really seen them in full force. Like, I mean, I've seen Fire. Fire's adorable. I love Fire. I guess I'll throw in Fire. Fire. Sabrina at one point was a manager. I've never really seen her manage. So it's really hard for me to say. God, putting me on the spot.
Hey.
I mean, in all reality, though, and I'm not just saying this, like, when I came in 6 years ago, and I don't know how it was before, right? But, like, there wasn't really a lot of managers.
There wasn't a lot of managers. Yeah.
Well, there wasn't. And this is one thing that I've always said, and I have nothing against anybody who doesn't want to use one. I get it because we got some great friends. We got some great people, Emma Gray being one of them. Abby Tude being another one. They don't voice. I agree with people doing their own thing, but when you don't voice, I think you need somebody to be the voice for you because it even as a commentator, it always bugged me personally when there would be a female out there and Paul and I were the only two on the table, and very hard to pull off trying to portray how a female would do it when you're a guy.
Yeah, and we're not going to have the same emotion added to the promo that you would be able to do if you were doing your own. It's no
right now. Now if we were doing something like if we were going out there and there was a male that didn't voice, and we were supposed to read it, and he was doing like a mocking voice where he was making fun of somebody, and we were trying to be mocking and high pitched. That's one thing. But if you don't voice, I understand and I respect people that don't, but if you don't voice, you need to have a voice with you because it helps so much to portray instead of somebody just reading your stuff.
Yeah.
So that's just like I said, anybody who doesn't voice, I have nothing against it.
No.
Go out there, write your promos, do your thing, get your character over, do whatever it is you got to do. But
public speaking is one of the hardest things to do in life. You know what I mean?
Even in SL. I mean, when I go out because I'll tell you right
now. I got good at it.
How?
In real life, walking around in fishnet stockings in front of Rocky Horror Picture Show. That killed my public speaking, stage fright, all that. That was it. That was it.
Well, it was like with me. When I went out and did that, and Paul, when we had to go out and we did that shake-up at the end of the season, and when I was still able to be in premiere, when I went out there and cut that unscripted promo, Baby Chrissy was out there listening, and she said, "Great job," but she said, "I could tell you were nervous." She said, "You could tell it in your voice." So, we still get nervous doing that, but we still got the story, still get the story over. So, going out and being nervous in public speaking, even in SL, is still a big deal. I mean, we're still talking in front of people.
Yeah, like you have to get into a mindset. Like I get in, like when I go out, and I'm going to be honest, and some people don't believe me, but like there's so many times when I'm getting ready to go out and I don't know what the hell I'm going to say yet, right? But then there's times where I have everything in my head and I know what I'm going to say. To me, when I prepare for it is when I feel that I do the worst. When I don't prepare for it, I just know like, all right, I got to go out there. I got to cut a promo and El Jefe. And I don't really think about it much. Is when I go out and I feel like I do better. It's weird. Like, and that's no advice. I'm the worst person to get advice from because
right.
I can, you know what I mean?
I'm there with
But
you.
I've seen so many people be like, oh my God, and like, here's my promo, what do you think? And blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all right, like I can't really relate to it in a way because it's like, I don't prepare. And if I prepare, I'm going to screw it up. Like the
Right.
more I prepare, I'm going to screw it up if I had to
So
prepare.
something that I learned, doing promos, whether I'm the general manager at Premiere or being a wrestling manager, is I like to keep bullet points. And I know
Yeah.
Paul and I, we always when we sit there in our talks, and he's like, "Hey, Lex, all right, so this is what you're going to talk about, this week as El Jefe." I have to have bullet points. So, because
It's not good
what
like
the
that,
bullet
Lex.
points
What do you want me to say,
is,
Paul?
what do you want me to say, Paul?
Right,
So
Write me a few
like
lines, Paul.
like an actor,
I'm
exactly.
kidding.
So but the bullet points help me, because what happens is I'll say the keynote or the beat that he needs me to say, and then I'll just trail off and then start talking a bunch of shit, whether it's in English or Spanish, whatever.
And the difference with me is
Uh-huh.
that I care less if you write your promo. I care less if you don't write it. When it goes in, it's like, as long as in my head when I go out there and I know there's stories that got to be told, you say whatever you want. I don't do bullet points at
Nah, me
all. I just
neither.
go out there. I just go out there and it's like, okay, you said that, and I'm thinking in my head. I'm thinking in my head. I'm thinking in my head. I'm thinking. It's like, okay, and then I respond. But I keep it within the storyline. I don't even
Yeah,
use
that's
bullet
how I
points.
do it. Right, same way. So I'll go and be like, all right, what do I got to do this week? All right, I got to push this, and then I'll think
Unless you're
about
like
it.
me,
I'll
unless you're
think
like
about it
me
a
and
little bit.
unless you're like me and psych yourself out and you accidentally say somebody's real name
Oh
when you
yeah,
weren't supposed
yeah,
to.
Let's not talk about
yeah.
that.
That was fun. That was
Hey,
fun.
I took full responsibility for that, but it was fun. It
Like,
was
hey,
a
how
lot.
about I use your real name? I'm like, yeah, well, don't use my real name. Like, all
And I
right,
tried
well,
not to.
I'm going to
It
use
was.
this name, and then 2 minutes later,
I know. I psych my, I take I psych myself out on that. I take full
but
responsibility.
like, I mean,
Okay.
the whole promo thing, though, like going back to it, it's like it's just it's a mindset you got to get in. Like, if my job as a manager, and Lex, you know this as well as me, like our
Yeah.
job, we're there to support. Like, we're there to
Yeah.
support the talent. So it's like, all right, well, where do I got to get this person? I got to get this person to this match, and then I'll start from there, start breaking down in my head how I'm going to do it. But the more I prepare, for me, the more I screw it up. Like, how many times, Lex, you at OEW, we would do the vignettes where we'd interview in the back, and I'd be like, fuck, man, like, start over. I actually have videos of that. I mean,
Yes.
there's like a 9-minute
yeah.
There's a
video.
lot of those.
There's
There's
like
a
a
lot.
9-minute video of me just saying every goddamn curse word in the thing because I keep fucking the lines up.
Is that the one that
Me and
is that the
Omen.
one? God rest his soul.
Yeah.
Omen is in that one.
Yep.
Yes, I
And
remember.
Wait a minute,
kept
is that the
laughing.
witch? Wait, is that the witch one?
I'm interviewing Omen in it, and
Yeah,
I'm doing
Oh,
like
and he
a
keeps
show,
messing up.
and I keep
okay.
screwing up. And every
I'm
time
sorry.
I'm like, fuck, man, start over, fuck,
Okay.
fuck, and I'm just fucking everything.
Okay, I'm sorry, but
That was
I'm
great. Lex,
but
he'd be like, Lex, keep recording. All right, no, stop. All right, let's do it all over.
Yeah.
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 Okay,
I think
now.
too much.
Okay, now here's one, and this would be this is a very crucial question considering the state of SO wrestling right now. If you were to open OEW right now, would it be a furry, human, or hybrid head?
All right, you guys are putting me in the spot.
Hey, I'm not asking these. I'll show you a screenshot.
So I'm gonna have to go heel here for a minute, and I'm gonna have to say I would keep it human. And the reason why I would keep it human is because there's a lot of already hybrid feds around. OEW was originally founded by humans. Nothing against the furry community. I have a lot of friends that are furries. At one point, I was going to join UFW and do a manager stint over there. Unfortunately, it fell through. I was going to play a Latino lion, and unfortunately, it did not happen the way that I wanted. I have no issues with furries at all. They're always welcome to come and watch our shows, and we at OEW, we loved that support. But as a Fed, I'm going to stick to my guns and just keep it human, because that's what we want to do, and that's what we always were. If that makes any sense to you guys. I don't know if that made any sense. I'm kind of
Oh
like,
no, no, it does. That's also I feel with this, with how everything is, where you got only human, only furry, and then hybrid. It's a very good question, because it didn't
Yeah,
state
it's
that
no,
they
it's a
tough.
had so
very
many
good question.
options. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Now, our next question comes from DJV.
Hey, DJV, good to see you.
The question is, what was it like playing stealth in the movie series Resilient Red X?
It was a lot of fun. So the gentleman that runs it is African American, and he had predominantly it was an African American cast, and you had two Caucasians involved. And I said to him, I said, you know what? With stealth, I think we need to kind of balance it out so it doesn't look like a black and white thing. And I said, we should make an Asian character for this series. And I told my friend LP, and he was like, you know what? That's a really good idea. And so I decided to make the avatar and make him Asian, because now we had a nice cultural diversity. You had African American, you had white American, and now you had an Asian involved, and it made the cast look really diverse. And that's one of the things that I always tell LP till this day when we'll sit on the phone or on Discord and we'll talk about Resilient Red X. I really loved the diversity of the cast that we had. It was fun. I love playing stealth. He was like this samurai. I channeled my Master Splinter from the original Ninja Turtles movies, and I would talk like this. LP, you got to do. We have to get out of here. We need to move, and I started getting into that voice, and it was a lot of fun. It killed my throat every time I was doing it, but it was a lot of fun. There was a lot of cuts, because I'd be reading the scripts, and LP would like, okay, you're sounding like Lex again. So I'm like, shit. All right, so let me just do that again, so it was a lot of fun. I really loved my time on Resilient Red X. There's been talk about him wanting to revive it, but a lot of people are not really supporting that type of product, and there's a lot of videographers out there in SL that are doing a lot of different types of movies now in SL, which is getting a lot of appeal. Unfortunately, with Resilient Red X, it didn't get the appeal that he wanted, and we advertised it everywhere. I mean, I think at one point, I think he may have put it on Amazon, and it didn't get to where we wanted it to be.
So, do you
And
think it's because of it, because it's SL and like not like SL? Like, granted, like we look at the graphics that we have here, they're not like they don't match like real
right.
video games. You know what I mean? Like a GTA or whatever. Like, do you think it's because of that?
It could be because of that. He's got another series that's kind of like the Twilight Zone, Tales of Twilight, and it's kind of like the Twilight Zone, and he has not been able to get anybody to like want to showcase it in Second Life. And it's a very good series, Tales of Twilight. It's freaky. I actually appear in one of the episodes. I play a guy that's riding on the bus, and I get sent to hell out of all places. I'm like, damn. And it was a really good series, but Second Life is very picky on like videos that they want to showcase, and then if you're trying to do it in RL, then you have to try to sell yourself. So a production, like you said, Paul, it could be because it's SL. It could be because, well, we've seen this a million times before in other animations or other movies. I really don't know what. And he lives in California, so he's got everything around him. If he wanted to, he could try to sell this, but he's tried, and we just haven't been able to get it going. We just haven't.
All right. Now, this is not a question, but it is a comment from Leah. Okay.
Uh-oh.
And I'm going to read this exactly as it says.
Okay.
Not a question, a comment because he always gives me shit when he sees me. Yes, Lex, I did get that Yellow Pages ad to the printers.
So that's an inside joke
Apparently.
with Josh Poffo. I think it was when we were doing Paul. You might remember this. We were doing a crossover with BCW, and Leah was involved. And one of the things that I guess it was a quote from an Australian movie that Josh knows, and he added it to the segment that we
Wait a
filmed, and he
minute.
was
Wait
like,
a minute. Josh knows something Australian? Really?
"Yeah, would you believe that?
Yeah,
Yes,
I never would have thunk it.
I would have never thought it either."
Yeah, I know.
And he was like, "So, Leia, did you put that ad in the yellow pages?" It was so I always it just sounded so funny that I would never let her live it down. So every once in a while, I would like see her and just like do that quote. It would drive her
Okay.
nuts.
All right, well, see, now we all know. So now we're all going to be asking her about the Yellow Pages ad when we see her. So we can all
Yes,
thank Josh Popo because now we're going to be referring to Leah as the Yellow Pages queen.
even though they don't do yellow pages anymore.
Right? People will be like, wait, what's a Yellow Pages? Yeah, really, seriously, they do. Okay, now, since we're on the whole question, and somebody said they still have the Yellow Pages. That's funny. Okay, so I want to get back to a couple of questions, since we answered the ones that have been sent in. And you
Sure.
mentioned it earlier, and there was two questions that I had. Number one, how did the L happen? How did that actually manifest itself? But the one that I'm most interested in, because I'm not going to lie to you, Lex, you like to talk about yourself. You like to talk. We have it on record right now that you like to talk. How did you decide to come up with Taint that doesn't talk?
All right, so Tank Ventura was a fluke. And what ended up happening is, so originally I wanted Tank to be a jobber. So when I created the avatar, I went on Marketplace and I got a style card and I created the character or the avatar, the look that I wanted. I liked the look and I'm like, man, this guy would be pretty cool as a wrestler. And I didn't really want to be like a lot of wrestling. I wanted more like Lex Umaga, the talker, or whatever. But I was like, you know what? Maybe I should contribute because we need more wrestlers in the Fed. And I was like, all right, so I make this character. So I make him and I tell David, yeah, this guy, his name is Stan Ventura because I used a name generator I found online and it was Stan something Ventura. It wasn't Tank. And I tell David he just has black trunks, and I show him to David. David's like, "This guy is not going to be a jobber," and I'm like, "What do you mean he's not going to be a jobber? No, he is not going to be a jobber. He is going to be a wrestler. We need it. This guy's a freaking powerhouse. How are we going to make this guy into a jobber?" And that's what. And then David actually came up with the idea of calling him Tank. And then when he and I collaborated on it, Superstar became his manager, and shit. There's
Remember
another manager
Superstar.
that I forgot that I
I,
couldn't put on my Mount
I, I
Rushmore.
was wondering if you were going to come out and
Fuck,
remember
I
Superstar.
forgot. No,
Your
I
own
forgot.
manager.
I have had a lot of shit going on in my real life, so
Okay, I got it.
But Superstar was a great. Those two were two peas in a pod, and if you guys remember OEW, every time those two came out, it was just a comedy act. It was like a
And you know what?
bodybuilding
And the
comedy
thing,
act.
and the thing about it is, I can say it now, but at the time, you can people figure it out. People are very smart, whether it's SOR, but DHA pulling off that superstar thing. What killed me with the whole thing was he
Yeah,
looked like Billy Graham, but he sounded like Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah.
right.
That's what killed me about that whole gimmick was he was looking one way and then sounded a completely different. And I was like, every time he come out, it was gold. It was great.
Yes, it was really cool. I loved. I mean, unfortunately, because of OEW closing, there was plans in the works. Unfortunately, it was shelved where they were going to separate, and there was going to be a feud between the two of them. Unfortunately, that never came to pass. But it was so memorable. Like if you go back and go to Casey's, SL Wrestling YouTube, you could go back and watch those guys, and it's hilarious. Like
Yeah.
we would come out and like at least for 3 minutes we're posing by the aisleway, and it's like the match,
Yeah.
and it was great. I have a lot of great memories with Tank, and it was really cool. It was really great. This gentleman next to me, when he started, taking the book, put me into the world title position, which originally I didn't want to be a champion. Okay, I'm gonna set the record straight. I didn't believe in owners should be a champion. However, because that was the old school mentality from back when I was doing SL Wrestling in 2010. So for the first couple of years, I didn't want Tank to be a champion. He would have been fine just being a face character, meaning like he was like one of the faces of OEW. Paul felt that he's a strong enough personality that we should give him a championship belt, and David concurred. I never really wanted him to be a champion. He
But
became.
then once you became champion, it was very hard to get that belt off you.
No, it really wasn't. So again, I'm a graduate of Petty College. I will admit, Petty College graduate.
Okay, it wasn't that hard, but I'm petty. So what had happened was.
So what happened is I was looking. So I have a lot of 80s and 90s wrestling mentality. So the guys that I really wanted to come after me don't exist in SL wrestling. As much as I would like it, like the baby face, the baby face that is basically struggling to rise up, and then you got this huge lion on top of the mountain, which is Tank Ventura, and he's got to get through him. I was looking for it's almost like the David and Goliath type of thing, and I could not find it. So I was very selective on who I wanted to wrestle with.
Lex said,
yeah,
that don't work for me, brother.
I never said it that way. I mean,
Well, you said 80s. You said 80s. So.
yeah, that's true. So, but I really wanted to paint a really cool picture with my story with Tank. I wanted somebody like a Johnny Angel type of character that would be the guy that I could pass the torch on and whatever. I didn't have a problem losing. Losing wasn't the issue. It was trying to find somebody. No, seriously, BK. It was finding somebody that could beat Tank. That's what I wanted.
The whole thing was, and this is like, he got that character over. Like, we got that character over pretty, like, people were coming with signs, where's Tank? And so it was like, the selection process of, all right, like, who do we have? Like, there was plans, and some of them people in them plans weren't like necessarily the greatest people that could have been there, that should have took Tank down. But like the way they were growing, it looked that way. Yeah, like you had to. There was just a lot of. It wasn't nothing about being selfish or nothing. It was just more or less like, all right, well, we got to build this guy up properly to get to that point. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of, a lot of aggravating arguments sometimes, Lex, right? I mean,
yeah,
but
there was.
So we, it was what it was.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
Oh, Leah just come back and said she missed her answer. The answer was he laughed about it and he explained what happened with the Josh with the Popo thing. But yeah, you go back and listen to it. It was really funny. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our time for this one. Lex, it has been a pleasure. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. This is probably one of the easiest ones we had. All we did was ask you one question. And I mean, I learned a lot about you that I had no idea about. So it was very educational for me as well as a lot of fun.
Yeah, so did the audience. The audience learned a lot about me too that they didn't know
Yeah.
about me, and some of them I just met today.
Right.
So,
All right. Well, we want to thank everybody for coming out. We will see you all next time. Take care of yourselves. See you later.
thanks for having me, guys.
Bitch Please has teamed with Whatchamacallit. Brings you all of your clothing needs from custom wrestling attire to everyday clothes. Established in 2007, Whatchamacallit is one of the oldest clothing stores in SL. For more information, contact Baddock Og. Custom work is available, and they have clothes for men and women.
Have you ever logged into Second Life just to spend time with that special someone? Or just to escape that headache called real life and you just can't seem to find anything to do? Well, here at Warblood City, we have got something for you. Rentable bikes for a bike ride, a cafe for that date night, or a place to catch up with friends over tea and coffee. We also have our very own movie theater, so make sure you check out what's on the big screen. Every year from the 21st of September until the 1st of November, there is Warblood City's annual Autumn Carnival, so make sure to check that out. All you gotta do is go into your search bar and type in Warblood Isle. Take the teleport, and welcome to the last stop you'll need for fun. We will see you all very, very soon.
LPW, otherwise known as Limitless Pro Wrestling. Check out their shows Riot Thursday nights at 4 p.m. SLT, then catch them again on Unleashed Sundays at 1 p.m. SLT.
Aaron's Domain is a SL-themed server for friends, family, and the SL wrestling community. They have all sorts of channels and categories that may pique your interest and are currently tied to several other feds in the SL community, whether Rain works there or not. They do show their support for the family in the best way that they can. If you wish to become a member and join us, feel free to ask yourself or Chrissy and they will get back to you. Welcome to the Aaron family, and the door is always open.